What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live to both, so welcome to the house. Not a Banlist channel, but I wanted to concentrate a conversation more so on stuff that could be coming off of the ban list, or why I think it deserves its spot on that bench and should be sitting there for a while. Let's start with A Hero Lives, and I think when it comes to A Hero Lives, this card could peel off to 2 or 3. You just had Malicious go to 2, which for Master Rule 5 definitely deserves its spot on the ban list. And with A Hero Lives, like, it's this thing that you risk paying half your life points just to get Ash Blossomed or whatever you're bringing out, get hit with something when it activates this effect. So I think it's a very fair card in what it offers for heroes, and you could play it at 2 to 3. The next card is actually Yata Garasu, and I think Yata, because it has to be normal summoned, pretty much nothing would choose to play it. Like, you play Eldritch, you'd rather have another card in the resource game than try to normal summon and start to shut them out. It's not like you're ripping out their hand anyways. But another card that's similar is Time Seal, and I think Time Seal can end up looped and abused and does deserve its spot on the list just for its ease of access. You don't have to normal summon Time Seal, so I think Time Seal probably should stay just for its abilities. But Yata Garasu by far, I think, could just be back off of the list due to that need to normal summon despite its degenerate card design. Next up, Cyberjar. I personally want this to stay on the list. A lot of chat has been talking about this card like, yeah man, it could come back, it did nothing wrong. Well, the thing is, you have Morphing Jar number 2 at 3, you have Morphing Jar at 1, and you now have Book of Moon at 3. Empty Jar could be a very real possibility, and you don't need to lend that extra power in my opinion, and the destructive power of Cyberjar is unlike any of those previous cards. So I do think that Cyberjar kind of has its place on the list, and thank gosh that Book of Moon finally got off the list. I don't think this has been deserving of it, and I definitely welcome the ultimate rare that's coming of it. But Cyberjar, yeah, I think that's a bit of a degenerate card. There is an open conversation about it going on though. Would it even have an impact? Would people play it? And I just faintly remember Empty Jar being problematic through Yu-Gi-Oh history. Now, Goldsark is a card at 1 that I think could be at 3, although they just freed Nekroz into the wild, so there could be a bit of deck out degeneracy there too. I miss I miss Dinos being mixed with Thunder Dragons, is what it is. And the ability of Goldsark to either go into Rex or go into your Thunder pieces was pretty darn cool. And with Colossus Band, I could see Goldsark coming back here. That was the problem. That's why the deck got hit. And now it might be because of Nekroz, but I'd like to see Goldsark come back and see what it actually does. Next up, we've got Skullcrobat Joker and a bunch of other Pendulum cards that chat wants to talk about. Joking. Well, Joker's an 1800 searcher that doesn't do nearly as much harm as a lot of 1800 searchers in today's game. I think Joker's perfectly fine to come back, especially if you're keeping Monkey Board on the list. I do not think Kieran should come back. It has way too much armor when it comes down to this card. This card actually reads in its monster effect that it cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects, making it near impossible to negate his effects, and the on-demand bounce is already something that's just so powerful in a back-and-forth game state, and the ability to summon this over and over again, that's a bit much in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Face Off, you have to play a brick for, and it already has a hard once per turn clause in it, could come back here to 3. Like, what's it gonna do? Power up counter fairy decks? Like, you have the Guard Dragon engine, Argapane got hit, and you have Ignister being able to do semi-loops, but without Argapane to bring it out, I'm not that scared, especially with Ignister at 1, so I think Face-Off would be fine to be seen at a couple more multiples. Double Iris Magician is something I'd love to see at 1. I miss playing with the Time Pendulum graphs and that trap card mattering and the tricks you could do with making your scales invincible and getting 2 of their cards and all that good stuff. I really do miss Double Iris, and I think on its own would it be too degenerate in what it would add to Pendulum boards or the consistency it would give it to, especially at 1. Well, yes, it's searchable. I get that point. It's a magician and a high scale. I think it would be fine. Now, Astrograph, I don't think this would be fine. So many people argue for Astrograph back. I think this is too insane of an advantage. Train, the recursion you can get off it is a bit much, and it is also, in technicality, a hand trap, but that's not how it's going to be used. I just think this card's a bit too much for me. But what do you think? Like, do you think Double Iris is more fair to come back to the game, or Astrograph? Tell me why in the comment section down below. Alright, Dragon Rulers! We already talked about Argapane, but Dragon Rulers, let's talk about the 3 that are still on the ban list. I think Redox is way too powerful for its recursion. I think Tidal could be too powerful thanks to the Deep Sea archetype being here. Mermails are more relevant than ever, but I've heard discussions on would you even be playing Tidal? I think you would be playing Tidal. Tidal's an insane advantage card, but I think both of these cards still are questionable on the comeback train, but Blaster, I think this one could be seen on the horizon of the ban list of getting back to 1. I don't think this guy necessarily deserves his place on the list anymore. He's a -1 to disrupt the board in certain situations, and yes, you'll get recursion later, but I think Blaster is pretty fine to come back to the game. Look at what Tempest has been doing. It's really not much, and you have the Dragoonity structure deck on the horizon to take even more advantage of Tempest. Like, I think Blaster would be fine in the game. Now, it's not a ban list discussion without Maxx C, right? I know you're already typing in the comment section your 2,000-word essay thesis on Maxx C and why it's healthy or unhealthy for the game. Look, this is either a 0 or 3 card. Not a Nat 1, not a Nat 2. It's at 0 or 3. You either have the maximum chances to see it or nobody should be seeing it. That's my opinion on it, and that's where I'm going to stick it. But go ahead and write your thesis essay in the comment section. Gateway of the 6. Now, I'm a huge Six Samurai fan, but actually not that much of modern Six Samurais. I will say there's now a searcher for Gateway, and getting extra Gateway counters can be a bit much, but it's doing nothing. Nothing in the OCG for the most part. Let a rogue deck take a couple regionals. Put Gateway at 2 if you're that scared, but it definitely deserves to be at 2 or 3 at this point. I don't think it's going to be doing much of anything just because you're putting extra counters on there other than being a frustrating deck. You already got rid of Rongo Bongo too. What's Six Samurai gonna do? We're gonna go for a while and basically feel like Ritual Beast in the modern day, if I'm honest, and not do all that much compared to other combo decks that, you know, if, oh, please bro, don't hit my Isolde. You know, other Isolde decks feel a little stronger at times, but Samurais, I think they deserve multiple gateways. Fairy Tail, Snow, and Grass, a hand-in-hand conversation. I think Grass absolutely can't come back while Orcust is a thing, but it does exist in the OCG. And Snow, it's just too powerful. Look at Gizmek Orochi. It activates one effect one turn and another on another. This is infinite same turn effects. When it's being run over, it's a chum wall. It's just like, yeah, flip that down, flip that down. Oh, I'll take the hit. She is there forever. I get why some people maybe feel so reliant on the card now. Like, they have this kind of thing like, she was there for me. Look, Snow is just way too powerful, having that double effect of recursion and an ability to have disruption. I don't think she's healthy for the game, and eating up somebody's normal summon to make them have double extenders that you might have hand traps for, it's a bit much. And Grass, I still like the theory that Grass decks, when they exist, the more that exists, it counters itself in the metagame, because then Grass isn't impactful, because they have the same number of cards as you. But with Orcust in the metagame, I don't want it to be limiting. Tour Guides at 2, I think this card could be at 3. I don't think there's much of a difference at 2 or 3. It's no longer the card, though, that where if you negate it, like, you know, their turn stops there, no more BAs, they're going to have other level 3 extenders, dangers, other things out of hand. So I do get why the power it offers versus, like, where people would want to activate the hand trap becomes more questionable based on it being the initial starting card, but I think it's fine at 3. Make Farfa buy another ultimate rare. Spellbook of Judgment. I feel like if you haven't lived through this format, you don't get a say here. But, you know, we're open to conversation. Spellbook of Judgment is an insanely searchable, powerful card, and you could argue ban Jaugen, bring this out. No, this card just offers way too much advantage for what it is, and it doesn't deserve to see the light of day off the ban list. But I know there's a lot of Spellbook fans out of there. Return from the Different Dimension is a super powerful card. I've gone back and forth on my opinion on this. I think it's too slow, but it offers great power. I think it offers great power, and grind games could be a thing. Just for how many cards tend to get banished from certain decks, I do feel like it's too slow for the decks that are trying to banish. Usually, those decks are trying to kill in one turn. Something like, you know, Chaos decks, they try to end the game almost instantly. Or, you know, Levianeer's a power card. Like, they're not trying to play the grind game and play return, but it does offer a lot of power for what it is, so I see both sides of the fence here. I personally would still like to see what it does at 1, but I get the argument for it staying banned. I think Nekroz Nekroz of Unicorn will peel off to 2 or 3, similar to the OCG, also to help sell the Dragma. Whenever you look at the ban list, think with Konami brain. Think with the monies. What is this going to sell for then? So I do think that Nekroz Dragma is a huge thing, and that they'll look over there and be like, oh, that's one of the top decks over there. This might help sell Return of the Duelist. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Even though he's a Floodgate-like card, he doesn't offer self-protection. You have to protect him with other cards. I do think that he'll see the light of day at 2 or 3. Eventually, maybe not this list. Trickstar Light Stage is one of those cards that people are asking back now. It's at 1, and people want to see more. To me, this is those times where people forget how much they chanted for a deck to get banned, or all those people are so content that that deck got hit, and they're no longer, like, hating the deck because it's been away off their mind. So now there's only, like, opposition to it being limited. Please bring it back. Please bring it back. Similarly, we see people asking for Engage back already in Sky Striker Widow Anchor to 3 after seeing Ryan Yu win with it. He just won an event. Sky Strikers came in on a crutch and beat the living heck out of the meta with it, and you want it to be easier to play? Yeah, Ryan Yu had this high skill ceiling. Make it easier for me to play. I want to remember what it feels like to win with Sky Strikers. Dude, if it's already winning online events that are 300 people, it doesn't need extra help. It's clear that, like, they got a Link Monster recently and other things. They don't need ban list help necessarily. But for this, people forget the pain of -200 Droll Reincarnation, the ease of, oh, there goes your back row, it's locked down. People seem to forget the trauma, or it's only the fans of it that are left talking about it. I do not think this card should be away from 1 at all. Reasoning is a card I would like to see at more multiples, but it can be highly degenerate with Infernoids, so I do get why people don't want to see it. It's like it doesn't matter if you call it, it matters how many cards come off the top of the deck, so I get in card design why it is at 1. Harpy's Feather Duster is a card I'd personally like to see at 1. I think it deserves its place in the game. You have Solemn Judgment at 3, you have so many negates now, but Konami hasn't even resold the reprint of Lightning Storm, so again, thinking with the money, I don't think Harpy's Feather Duster will be peeling off the list until Konami bothers to sell Lightning Storm in like the 2021 Megatens or something like that. We're not going to see this for a long time, I personally think, but maybe they just needed to sell iGas. Who knows? Konami makes some surprising moves. Now let's talk about a couple of things that maybe should or should not get hit. Mystic Mine, I feel like should be hit on the list in some way, shape, or form at 1, then Cosmic Cyclone becomes a real threat to it. Mind Burn doesn't need to be a thing, and the meta decks pretty much will only play 1 anyways. Why not just choke it down to 1 already so that we can eventually ban it one day? People want Predaplant Verte Anaconda banned. This is a constant talk in my ban list streams? Absolutely not. Dude, the Megatons are going to be coming. They're going to be selling this card. You want to preempt it. I know, I personally hate it too when metas choke down to one place where so many decks make the same move, but they're not going to kill the main selling point of the Megatons to where they took away promos and shoved this guy in the middle of the set. They're not going to take away the means to make him early. This card's going to be around for a while. Let's talk about Colossus and how people want this back. You have Nemesis Corridor, which would give access to him in every deck, and he's a walking floodgate with self-protection. I was a Thunder Dragon player, and I think he's fine to stay on the ban list, but if he comes back to 1, that could be a thing, but I don't think so. Also, let's talk about Konami's more recent hits that just happened last list that people want to talk about. Toad and Dragon Buster. I feel like Toad was like this preemptive Master Rule 4 into 5 hit, and they were scared people would keep making Bahamut with it, so they didn't want people to be able to recycle both of these cards. So like 2 Toads would give you the opportunity to recycle Bahamut Shark, use them again, bring out another Toad, and, you know, recycle your engine in a sense. And I think 2 Toad would be fine, and putting Bahamut to 1 would be fine. But I don't really know where Konami was coming from, you know, slamming this card so early. And then Dragon Buster just feels like it didn't deserve it, man. Like, that deck is already, it's Omega Brick. Like, this deck bricks so hard as it is. Why put this man's to 1? I simply do not understand, and I think it should be at 2 to 3, but Konami doesn't tend to reverse things on just the next list. People were talking about how A got reversed. Dude, Firewall got banned. Of course A's limit got reversed. People were really angry about that one. But with this, you're actually putting this in an OTS pack upcoming. That OTS pack has such bad timing being choked out on its release. Spirals got hurt. I mean, yeah, I could see Resort coming back. The multiples chat had mentioned that because Master Plan is banned. join Masterpiece over there. Take a seat on the bench. You deserve it. But I could see, you know, the field spell coming back to multiples because of that and giving it a little more of a resource game. But, like, it's so funny that Spirals are in that pack, Dragon Buster's in that pack, so many things are in that pack, you know, that got affected. It's a little bit funny, at least. Toad shouldn't be alone. Yeah, there should be 2 of him. Look, there's literally 2 in the picture. You're absolutely right, chat. So, what do you guys think of the FNL list and how it's shaped up, and what do you want to see more so like this discussion coming off of it? Give your arguments, give your statements. You don't have to agree with me in the discussion. The discussion's wide open, and I enjoy having these. But let me know what you think should be coming off. It's all about Moki Moki. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And of course, if you're buying Banlist cards, use that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra and supporting the channel directly. I'm sure many people get huge payoffs when it comes to Banlist stuff coming off, like Max Rarity Snow one day. Well, I don't think you're going to see it for a while, but there's definite moves that happen from Banlist where people end up making a lot of money that day.